Hello and welcome.
Hey, welcome back to the show. We have Russell Leon with us today. Welcome to the show, Russell.
Hey, thanks, Mark. Nice to be here.
Great. Thanks so much for coming down. It's been quite some time since I've actually seen you guys perform. An amazing band. They have a show coming up March 2nd at the Dakota. Maybe tell us about that, and let's start there.
Okay, well, it's the Russell Leon Band, and we're playing the early show. So that means we're setting up at 5 in the afternoon. We're on at 7 o'clock at night, and we're done by 9.
Oh, wow,
and then
okay.
they hustle us out, and they get the next act there.
Okay.
So they asked me, do you want the 11 o'clock? And I'm like, no, you know what? My crowd will be happy to have the 7 to 9 and then go out afterwards, and will be the appetizer for their night.
That's right. And for me, I don't know, maybe it's because I'm getting older. I'm in my 50s now. I find I love the earlier shows for myself because I'll be honest, I'm in bed by 9 usually. So 7 to 9, that's totally up my alley.
That's it.
And I was reading an article a while back because it seems like the music scene, not just here in Toronto, but in other parts of the world, have been kind of suffering ever since post-COVID, post-lockdowns. It seems like people are still reluctant in going out to shows. So one suggestion was have the shows earlier, because there's different parts of the world, different parts of Europe, where they start the show at 6 or 7. You're done by 9. You're out. You're back at home, and you have a good night's sleep to go to work the next day, and then repeat the cycle.
Always made sense to me.
Yeah.
It always made sense to me to like earlier shows, like even if we're second on the bill and the show starts at 9, but it never starts at 9. You know, it starts at 9:30, 10. We're on at 11:30, and like the last band often are on at midnight or 12:30, and it's just so hard to keep people interested and awake, even if it's a great band.
It is. And it's weird. I guess maybe that was designed for bar sales, to keep people drinking till 1 or 2,
Yes,
I think so.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it seems like I've been talking to a lot of people sort of in the industry and working even at different bars and restaurants, and they're saying that people are drinking less nowadays. Maybe people have become more health conscious, and I know Generation Z and the Alpha generation, they don't really drink alcohol. So do you see that affecting maybe the way music is programmed in the future?
That's a good point. I hadn't really thought about that, but I'm sure that has a part to play.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and we're in Canada, so a lot of people are just like milking their beer and going out and smoking a joint.
That's right. And everything's so expensive now. Like,
Yeah.
It's like I quit drinking a couple years ago, so I don't even know how much is a beer, like a pint of beer at a bar now.
You're
maybe
looking
$10.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's up fair.
So like you have 3 or 4 beers plus tax. That's in a tip. That's like $50.
And you're paying to get into the shows, right?
That's right.
So yeah, it all adds up. So you better really like who you're going to see. And prepare that it's a night out. But on the other hand, it's crazy to me that you look at these really good songwriters that are around Toronto. They're amazing. They're the best. They tour the world. They're so good. And they charge $10, $20 to see a show. But people are paying like $500, $1,000 to see shows. Like I tried to get a Neil Young ticket the other day. Impossible. It was impossible. And then if I was to get a ticket, it would have been $600 for a single.
Oh man, like who's able to afford to go to these shows?
That's the thing when you're in Toronto, or like I think it's a uniquely Canadian thing, because I know people who have money and they're going to Sweden to see Taylor Swift.
What?
Yeah. Because they couldn't get a ticket here, and people, instead of going out to the bars and drinking and seeing live bands like they used to, they'll go to a festival once.
Right.
They'll go to see Olivia Rodrigo at Massey Hall and spend $500 for that ticket, and that's their experience.
Yeah, because we were talking about this earlier. I was reading an article online about how it's these big ticket artists that are kind of taking the big pool away from artists like ourselves that are still playing in these local clubs, and we're kind of hammering out that way. But all the bulk of the money that people have in their entertainment budgets are going to Neil Young and Taylor Swift and so forth, especially in this day and age where we have high inflation and, a lot of people are struggling financially. I foresee, I see the live music scene in a lot of trouble, like moving forward. Do you have any ideas how to remedy this, or maybe more community-based events where we don't have to rely so much, say, on traditional venues that require alcohol sales to keep in business?
Right. And people are doing that. Like you have your little house concerts and people are setting these things up. But I think it should be more of an education. I think that there are a lot of really good musicians out there. Like I heard the Rivoli on a Sunday night has a country jam with Derek Down and all the players are going there, and you walk in and I don't think it's a pass the hat. And these are like superb players. And this is happening not just at the Rivoli, but Hughes Room, the Cameron. If you ever just walk into the Cameron House, these musicians are world class. They're not booking like beginner songwriters.
That's right. Yeah, I believe it's upstairs at the Rivoli in the pool hall where they Derek Downham and Clayton Yates, and I forget the other gentleman's name. I think they call themselves the Empty Glasses, I believe they are.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
And really good.
Really good stuff.
Really good.
That's right. We got to check that out at some point. It's hard for me to check out shows. Like, unfortunately, we're going to miss your show on March 2nd because we're playing a show in Winnipeg. So
nice.
It's always tough to try to get out to see stuff, but we try to do as much as we can. And yourself, do you try to get out to see local shows or even big shows?
If it has to do with Ticketmaster, it's really hard for me to ever see a show, so I don't really see big shows. That being said, Wednesday night at the History, I'm going to go see Thievery Corporation.
Oh, okay.
And they're great. They're trippy and fun and a lot different than what I play, but I like to be exposed to different kinds of music. And so I see a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot, I see a fair amount of acts. I was talking to my friend Lorraine. She is a music teacher. I also am a music teacher, and I find I listen to so much music, and I practice so much music, and I play with my band. And so when it's my downtime, I don't always want to go out to see more music. My brain just needs a little break.
That's right.
Yeah. So when I do go out, it has to be really, really good.
That's right. Absolutely. That's right. Because some days, like you said, you're so busy. Day to day is busy. You just want to sit home and watch TV.
Yes.
And turn off music.
Right. That being said, I'm hosting the open mic at the Free Times Cafe tomorrow.
Okay.
I do the last. I host the last Tuesday of every month at the Free Times, and the last time I was there. The quality of musicians were amazing. I couldn't believe it. There's been a little bit of a shift in the open stage. A lot of people back in my day were like, "Oh, I'm not going to play an open stage. I don't want to be part of that." But now there's a lot of my friends that are hosts of the open stage. People come out to meet people at these open stages. I think the Toronto open stage situation is really good.
It is.
Really
it's quite good. That's right.
Really good.
And it seems like there's a lot of open mics too around the town.
There are.
Yeah. In various, like some venues that are really good.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yep. So like yesterday, Steve York was at the Dakota and he was hosting an open stage there. Right. Anyways, there's many, and the musicianship is really, really good. And if it's not good, my job as a host is to make sure whoever is not at the level of the next person feels like they are on a journey, and there is no negativity, and there is no you should be like that. I try to find the best in whatever anybody does and just plug that, because it's really hard.
It is.
It's really hard. This industry is really hard.
And you're making yourself quite vulnerable when you go up on stage and playing songs maybe you just wrote that day or that week, and maybe you are new to the business. So it's good to have that encouragement and that support.
Yes.
So how did you get started then doing music? When was What age did you discover, hey, I want to learn how to play an instrument and I want to be in a band?
Okay, well, this goes back a few years. I am from. I was raised on a commune in eastern Ontario, so we had no running water or no electricity in this little teeny community in the Ottawa Valley. So in the back hills of Killaloe and Wilno and Barry's Bay, they have all these off-the-grid people that live out there. So I was on a community that was part of this community, and there was no TV, there was no really, you had your imagination, and there was some really good musicians up there. So it sounds cliche, but I didn't choose music; it chose me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just would sit there, and I would, what chord is that? It was guitar that turned me on at first. I guess I was about 9 or 10, and guitar's hard.
It is.
Yeah,
that's right. Yes,
guitar is hard. But I just learned a few chords, and I just kept with it. And I took lessons from some of the local musicians up in the valley. And as time went on, somebody opened a music store in Barry's Bay, and I started taking lessons on how to read music. And it was a guitar store. And then I started jamming and doing open stages, and by 12 or 13, I was hooked.
Okay. And did you have a high school band or any of that sort of stuff?
Yeah,
okay.
High school band. I had a high school band, and I played trumpet in the concert band and in the jazz band. And in I think it was grade 11, we had a UTS music teacher, which is the University of Toronto school, and he was amazing. And he came in and he took over the music program at my high school. Turned the whole thing upside down, just made it, inspired everyone, including myself. Choirs grew. He started a community choir that had 75 people outside of the school.
Oh, wow.
The music nights were packed. Everybody just began to become way more musically talented. So on top of having my folk rock band at that time, or playing solo around, I had this Mark Robbins is his name, and he just inspired us all, and he gave me enough information and enough theory to get into York University, and I graduated from the music program at York University.
Oh, fantastic!
Playing trumpet for the first couple of years, and then I went into vocals.
Okay. And then when did you start the band that you're in now?
I would say maybe in 1996.
Okay.
And it's always been the Russell Leon band, but we've had many players come through, different drummers and different bass players. And when I had the most players ever, it was we had a horn section with trumpet and saxophone. I had a conga player and a harmonica player, drums, guitar, bass. So it was a lot of people.
It's a lot of people.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of notes too, because when you're coming out of some of my musician friends were just out of Humber, so they would
Sure,
there was a lot going on.
There's a lot. That's right.
So as I got older, I realized that wait a minute,
less is more.
Yeah,
That's
so
right,
I brought her down to a trio.
Okay.
and now we really listen. We really listen to each other, and every note counts.
Right.
Right. And now I have the Noah Zacharin on lead guitar.
He's amazing player.
Yeah. So we have 4 people in the band now. I was happy with 3 and being the brave one that took all the solos, but now that I can lay back and let Noah do all that.
That's right. Let him do all the heavy lifting.
Yeah. And then now we're starting to do some solos together, which is kind of cool too. It just kind of, we're growing.
Okay. Are you doing harmonizing solos like Kiss in Detroit Rock City, or
by accident?
By accident. And you also have Marcus Walker playing bass.
Correct.
Great. And Marcus has been on the show a few times here. Hey, Marcus, if you're watching. So what's it like putting that band together? Is it like a truly a collaborative process? I know it's the Russell Leon band, but how much is it Russell Leon and how much is it the band?
Right. So I write the songs. They're all my songs. And then I say, this is how it goes. And everybody contributes with in their own style. And Marcus and I have been playing together for, I don't know, 15 or 20 years. Marcus is not only a great bass player, but he, in his own right, is a singer-songwriter, guitarist, has his own band. So because I'm working with such high quality, high caliber musicians, Dan Newman is the drummer. Amazing. These guys, they don't need to be told what to do. They just have to do what they do. And if for some reason it's not working or the field isn't quite what I want, then I'll say it, and they'll be like, oh yeah, we don't argue. There's no ego there.
That's good.
You know, and they'll also look at me and go, "Hey, maybe you should do that." So I don't close doors to. This is my song, and it's only me. I also take feedback seriously, and I respect them. So I do.
Well, it's good to have that two-way communication because, especially in this business, there's a lot of egos, and it's hard to get past that when someone, is kind of. We'll say delusional about their ability or about their self. There's no real communication. Therefore, the song doesn't really get any better. It doesn't go anywhere. So how would you suggest to other musicians, say, I know maybe you don't work with difficult people, but have you ever had in the past? And what was your approach to kind of reach them? Say you're working with even an engineer, a producer, or a drummer, and say they wanted to do something their way, but you had, say, a specific idea. How would you relate that sort of message without kind of, stomping out their fire or making them feel sort of bad?
Right. Well, I think that if it's your song, if you're coming into a situation and it's your song and you have a strong feeling about it, then you're the boss. And you should not let anyone tell you any different, because every producer or everybody who thinks that when you ask somebody, whether it be your girlfriend or your next door neighbor, they're going to have something to say if you ask them. So you have to first be careful on who you ask their opinion on. You have to deeply respect what they're going to say, and then you listen to them, and then you decide.
Right.
Just because they said you should change, you should put this be your chord, that doesn't mean it's necessarily right for the song.
Right.
Your ears know. And if they don't know, and you're in a situation where you don't really know, but you're with someone that you really respect, then you appreciate that, and you listen to that. For example, I just recorded a children's album with Ken Whiteley. Now, Ken Whiteley, to me, is the Canadian producer for children's music and roots music, and like he is one with music.
Yes,
his whole family is. Right?
Oh yes, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So when he comes in and says, Russell, I think maybe a bridge here might be good, or can you go back and rewrite that? Then I'm not going to go, no, Ken, I'm not going to do that. Right. I'm going to go like, oh, you might have a point here, so I'm going to go, I have some homework, I'm going to go do it. And when I did that, it made the song better.
Okay. So children's music, that's interesting. Is this a sort of a new departure for you, or is it something you've always kind of dabbled in, or?
Never.
Okay.
My songs especially in the earlier days, I've had people come up to me and going, like professionals saying, you know what, you should write kids music. And I'd be like, no. Okay. What do you mean? I'll never do that. Love like that. No. And then I'm playing songs, like I am a teacher and I teach elementary school music. And I'm constantly in front of classes and assemblies, and I'm doing it. I'm actually entertaining children. And then I bring my own songs, and I'm going to write some kids songs, and they started to love it. And then I realized, like, okay, if that class loves it, it's good. So I should do something.
Children are very honest.
Yeah.
Like the expression, what drunks and children are usually honest, right?
Yeah.
So what's the process or difference in writing, say, for an adult audience versus writing for a children's audience?
Okay. Well, the truth is, the world sucks. There are many people in countries that are doing all right.
That's right.
But there's a lot of negativity and a lot of pain in the world. So as a human, And as a songwriter for adult music, I have a different perspective on what I'm singing or talking about, and I want my peers to relate to that.
Okay.
When I'm singing to kids, I want there to be more hope, right?
Sure.
So it's more fun. I wrote a song about the environment on my first kids record that was kind of dark and it wasn't hopeful, and I don't regret it, but I don't play it either. I love the recording. My kids will sing it, but if I'm at a live show, I don't want to bum everyone out. I don't want the crowd just to go, oh my God, that's so sad, because the state of the environment is so sad.
It is, yes.
So as I'm progressing as a children's entertainer, I'm just trying to make it a little bit more light and fun.
Okay.
So even though I will point out there are problems, I'll do it in a nicer way, not an angry way.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you said a more hopeful way.
Exactly.
Because the children are, our hope for the future.
That's it.
So, other than, I guess, that you just said you wrote a song about the environment, what are some other subject matter that you are writing for kids?
Being kind. Mm-hmm. I think a big thing that we have to do as adults and elders is to show kindness. Mm-hmm. And teach kindness and mental health. So a lot of my songs have to do with like moods. One of my lines is, "Are you kind? Are you fair? Do you help? Do you care? If someone is sad, are you aware?" And there's a world of compassion spins a world of love. Alone we can make a difference, but together we rise above. And all the kids' hands are in the sky. We rise above. And it's a powerful message to give to children.
Absolutely. That's amazing. So are you going to do any children's, tours or educational shows? Because I know here in the GTA and of course other parts of Canada, they bring in guest artists to do school assemblies and concerts. Are you looking at doing any of that kind of work?
I would love to.
Okay,
I would love to. I've tried minimally because I'm very busy. I have lots of things on the go. Sure. And it sounds like an excuse, but it's really time is really really important to me, and I have a family myself, so I prioritize that. But the thing is, I've tried to get a government grant to bring me into a community where I was raised in the Ottawa Valley. This is a very sad story in that this community has had no music program and has never had a music program in any of the elementary schools. And they all feed into the high school, the same high school. And they didn't have it back when I was growing up, and they still don't have it. So I've been applying to grants to get me there, and I have letters from principals who are now my friends saying we want you to come up, and so it's all set up. But every single time I've applied for something, it hasn't come in.
Oh, okay. Huh.
So it's an ongoing process where they want me there, and I feel like once I start, it will open up more doors.
So that is odd. They've never had a formalized music program there.
Never.
Wow. Now, as you mentioned, you work in music education. How have you seen music education throughout the years? Because I know, our wonderful government has always had, cutbacks to education and other sorts of services. Have you seen that sort of been going downhill, or have schools been trying to foster, a music education in some kind of manner, even in spite of all the budget cuts?
I think it really depends on, private schools usually have some kind of a music program, yes. Even though a lot of Montessori schools don't. But I would say that the public school system do have music teachers, and some of the music teachers that I have been around either don't like their job or it just wasn't a great music program. But that's only what I've seen.
Right.
It could be like the next school over has the best music program ever. Like
Sure.
I think I don't really know.
Right.
I just know that COVID stopped everything because you couldn't sing, right? So
right.
if there's no singing in elementary schools, that's big. And then you can't, and band instruments, you couldn't blow into a trumpet
that's
or,
right.
anything with air.
Jeez.
So
Well, that's pretty much 90% of the instruments out there, like singing or blowing into things.
Right. So a crazy story when I was teaching, I'm a music teacher at OISE at the Institute of Child Study. And I've been there for 23 years. And this is what we had to do. There were 2 classes with like maybe 13 kids in each class with a teacher and a teacher's assistant. So I had my laptop and everyone's masked, and I had my computer so I could see both classes, and I would be in my studio, and I taught the whole year and a half of music to this school virtually on Zoom. And I was projected on a Zoom board.
Wow.
So we survived. But it was really hard. There was a lot of like music and technology, and me just showing different things from YouTube and finding apps that are good, and like there was a lot of me explaining theory or singing myself. When people got sent home, they were in their home so they could actually sing.
Okay.
But they had to be muted, so I couldn't really tell if they were in key or.
Oh, okay.
You don't want.
That's right.
You don't want all those people singing.
Of course not. That's
Anyways,
right.
I'm just talking about just this crazy experience of music education and what we had to go through before. So now it's really nice to have the choirs back.
Right.
It's really nice to have the bands back. It's it's gonna. I think what's gonna happen is all that negativity and mental health is because of the singing is gonna also be part of the solution.
It is. It really is. And I think that's an oversight for a lot of, school boards or the government that don't want to invest in music education. Because not just are you learning how to play an instrument, but other cognitive processes, develops your brain, you have better problem solving, capabilities, so forth and so on. There's so many benefits just by learning how to play music. Also, just the sheer joy that it gives you when you're playing your guitar or you're singing or whatever it is that you're doing.
That's it.
So what sort of advice do you give to, say someone's watching this right now and they want to learn how to play an instrument, but they don't know what to do? Say their school doesn't have a music program. What's your advice to them?
I would say go on YouTube. YouTube is great. They have so much. How do you tune a ukulele? They'll be there, and you listen to the notes. If you can't do that, even if you can't even do that, I'm sure in your community of people there must be one person, even a teenager, who's just picking up the guitar and learning 3 chords. Hit them up for that one chord. Like just put it out there that you want to learn, and your parents will make it happen.
Right.
Just put it out there.
Right.
If you can't afford music lessons, then I would just look around your community and just put it out there that you want.
And maybe someone might answer that call.
So, yes.
I mean, life works in mysterious ways. I think sometimes you put the question or the energy out there, and then you get the response and or the support that you need.
I believe that.
Yeah. I'd like to believe that too. In fact, it is true, everyone out there listening to the show. So what's next for you? You got the show coming up March 2nd, and are you working on new material or?
Yeah, I'm working on new material right now. I'm writing a song, just yesterday I was writing a song, and it's interesting because this song is for adults, and it addresses all of these questions and all of these things that are happening. And I told my wife, I said, okay, I'm writing this song, and it addresses some issues that are kind of controversial. And she was like, don't do it.
Don't do it. Okay.
Don't do it. Like I'm not saying that I'm stepping on any toes, but yeah. So right now I'm in a battle with myself because it's really easy to offend people.
Sure.
And it's really, and rightly so. Like people have gotten away with things for so many years that you have to be sensitive about what's happening.
Sure.
But the flip side of the question is, if you can't talk about it and you can't sing about it, then there's no dialogue, and
That's right.
That's when that is even worse.
It is. I'm the biggest supporter of like free speech. Yes, sometimes things are said and it hurts people's feelings, but at the end of the day, these are just feelings. They're passing through. What we have to focus on, I think, are objective truths as a society, and that's how we're going to solve a lot of the problems moving forward. But again, I think we're living in a weird state of, I don't know, society where we're in these polarized camps and echo chambers, and this is why no one wants to truly listen to each other, because we all have cognitive closure. We've already made up our mind about what we think about issue A, B, and C, and what we think about the prime minister or whatever our topic is. How do you think we're going to get by this? By hopefully trying to foster more honest, open lines of communication, do you think? Well, and maybe music is one of these bridges between
That's
those,
right. I
yeah.
think the musician, the musician, especially the folk musician, because we have, like, if you're a pop musician, then you're probably singing about what sells, and it's not going to be necessarily about inclusivity and human rights.
Right.
So, but the folk musician has always been the person who gets in front of people, the people, not the politicians, the people,
right.
and tells them the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And, whether they want to hear it or not.
Right.
What's going to happen is who knows? Like, the scary thing is Donald Trump might get back into power again, and the far right are like, it's happening.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm from a commune. I have this
Sure.
love peace thing deep ingrained in me. Mm-hmm. So my gut wants to say we all have to talk. We all have to, whether you are on the Israeli or the Palestinian side, whether you're on whatever side you're on, if you blow each other up, it's not going to work. Everyone's going to come out. Generations of people are going to come out in pain.
That's right.
But if you can somehow get together and figure it out, and you can't do it by fighting, then it's all going to work out, and it might take a long time, and it will take a long time.
I think it will, because evolution and change happens through small steps, incrementally. Like, it takes thousands of years for something to happen through evolution, and even through social change, it has to happen through like cultural persuasion, not cultural coercion, for lack of better terms.
Yeah.
Because it feels like, especially online, there's a lot of people trying to force people into certain boxes or views, and maybe they're not necessarily represented fully by those views, but we like putting people in the boxes so we can dismiss what they're saying and so forth and so on.
Right.
And I think that's what's great about music, is that you can kind of put a message as an analogy in a song, and maybe it doesn't hit the listener right away, but like the song, I love those three chords or whatever their melody is, but then later maybe the message hits them, and maybe that's a more digestible way of getting our message across. What do you think?
I agree with that. But you have to say it in a certain way, and this is what makes a really good lyricist. Like Paul Simon says it the right way. It's a balance of intelligence and gut, and it's and art and craft. You have to know about rhymes. You have to know about internal rhythms, or you're just, or maybe it comes naturally to you, and that I love that. But for me, it didn't necessarily come natural. I found like my first stage of my writing, there was a lot of less melody, a lot of more talky, and now I'm thinking more about melody, and I'm thinking more about internal rhythms and rhymes and all that stuff, and that takes the music to the next level. When you pair it with the lyric, it hits at a different level. Right.
Because I find as you get older, you get more experiences throughout life, and that changes your writing as well. Do you remember the first song you ever wrote? And do you still play it live now?
No.
Okay.
No. But I have, like, when I'm teaching kids and a kid comes in and says to me, look, I wrote this song, and they play it, and I'm like, wow, that's good. You want to hear my first song, and I'll play it, and it really isn't good.
Right.
You know, but it was
Sure.
it was my first song. I'm upstairs singing this song, thinking of the words as I go along. That was the first line of it.
Okay.
You know, it's not good.
Well, it's not terrible either.
D-A-G worked together.
Yeah.
I mean, if Neil Young could do it, I could do it.
Oh, yeah. That's half the stuff that you hear on the top 40 now. So speaking of that, well, again, we touched upon this earlier. Music, the landscape of music has been changing now. It seems like people are less into albums. They're more into streaming singles off of Spotify or YouTube or however they get their music. I remember back in the old days going to something we used to call a record store, and we used to buy records and we'd put them on this thing and then we'd play them. And if there was a band that releasing a record, we'd like literally go like at midnight in order to buy the record to be the first to spin it. It seems like there's less of that now. It feels like people are just, I don't know, it's almost like music is disposable. It's like an afterthought. Yeah, they got it on their phone. They didn't have to walk down to the record store in the rain and hang out to buy it. They just instantly get it. There's all this instant gratification now. Oh, yeah. And I think that's been affecting the music scene, especially with TikTok, because now you start seeing songs getting shorter and shorter, because I think people's attention spans are also getting shorter and shorter. Like back, say 20 years ago, you could have a 4-minute song, 4.5-minute song on the radio. That'd be no problem. Now, I think it's very rare. I was listening to a song. It was like the other day. I can't remember the song, but it was like, I swear to God, it was under 3 minutes. And I start to see a lot more in that now because of social media and technology creating shorter attention spans. So what do you see the future in music? Is it going to be all AI, computer driven, and we're all put into these sort of categories, or do you see a return to the organic record making? Because people, as humans, we crave that sort of experience because that's more authentic to us.
Yeah. My last record with Ken Whiteley that I just did is on vinyl.
Oh, great.
I made vinyl.
Awesome.
I made vinyl just because I wanted the art. I hired my buddy Steve to design it, and I hired another person to notate it musically so that when you open it up, there's a 12-page book that has all of the written exact melody, chords, everything is there. So you not only get the artwork, but you get the music and you get the LP. So it is an actual thing that you hold. It's not digital numbers that are gone right away. So that was important to me. That's not the question you asked. You asked, well, what's going to happen? Well, the funny thing is I made 200 CDs that no one's going to ever buy, but the records will get sold. People are coming back. Like if you look at how many records are being sold, it's more than CDs now.
It is,
right?
Yeah,
people collect these things, and there's something that nostalgic about it, and there's something that even the younger generation, like you can go to Indigo and see records and you could buy a turntable there.
That's right.
So I think it could be the last ditch efforts of the music, us trying to hang on.
That's right.
Because it really is so easy to go.
That's right.
Okay, put on the thing, shuffle, have Spotify pick the songs for you. Go, yeah, I like that. I'll keep that. Now just who else sounds like that? Like, it's really easy to do that.
It is. It's like it's taking the curation out of the human sort of experience. We're letting machines do it for us. Like we're letting machines do everything for us now, it seems.
Yeah.
AI is doing a lot of creative work that humans should be doing, and it's plagiarizing a lot of that creative work, which some humans also plagiarize, but that's another story.
All that being said, I really do feel like my 13-year-old who is all about TikTok and texting and not even texting, Snapchats.
Oh, it's not okay. Yeah. See, I don't have a phone, so I don't know what any of that is.
What the kids are doing these days. But unbelievably so, country music is coming back and hitting the kids at a like.
It is. Beyonce has a country
her
song.
new song. I heard it this morning, and she's cashing in on it too. But it's actually a pretty good song.
Does it sound like Bruce Cockburn's Franklin theme? Oh, come on, listen to them back to back.
Okay. Okay. I've only heard it once, so I'll let you know. But so it's amazing to me to hear when I'm in the car, driving to a hockey game. It's the best time to connect with your kids is when you're driving to a hockey game. When I hear her understand all of the words and sing the whole song from front to back, and every song, it's not just a AI generated pop music thing like. And I didn't show her, oh, you should listen to this. It's the kids these days are way more savvy with the music, how to find it, where to get it than me. So they create their own playlists with what they like, and they're immediately, as fast as they go, no, I don't like that, they go boom, and they like it, and they listen to it, and they memorize it, and they sing it, and they show it to me, and I'm like, yeah, that's a good song.
That's awesome. It seems like kids are discovering a lot of the old music because we have nieces and nephews, and they're like, some of them are getting into grunge, which is like 30 years old now, right? So it seems like everything old is new again. So maybe there's a hope.
Yeah, I think there is hope. I think there is hope.
And hopefully in the future, people will go less to these huge sort of Ticketmaster concerts, and maybe they'll return to the smaller venues and even house concerts.
Well, as long as the government allows Ticketmaster to take over and there's no competition and they can get away with it, they're going to do it. So I'm not holding my breath. There's got to be legislation, and there's got to be, I can't wait for Spotify to come around and go, wait a minute, we're all here in our billion-dollar penthouses, and this artist, is supporting everyone. Like it's just not fair what's happening to the industry, and we're born and we're in like 2024 is not a time to release your single.
No, that's right.
What's gonna happen?
Well, there's 100,000 singles released every day worldwide. 100,000. So.
Oh my God.
I know, right?
And you hire your publicist.
That's right.
And I did this. I hired my publicist for the record, and I got some reviews, which is good. And people, I don't know, it got thrown into the ethos. Is that the word?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, and it got thrown out there, and I saw it, and it was gone, and then it was gone.
Right.
So, but then, do you do that? Do you hire the publicist, or do you not?
Well, I mean, publicity is always good, right? Because again, repetition, like advertising actually does work. If you see a message enough times, you are going to at least check out the product. Maybe it might not be something you like, but you'll probably give it a look-see, we'll say. I think publicity is still important for sure, but I think a lot of bands and artists can also do their own publicity just by contacting the various publications and the different media outlets out there. That's easy to do because they are looking to do stories on new artists and new music because they always need content.
That's right.
They are receptive if you can contact them, but sometimes people don't know what to do. I think some people are just shy in cold calling or emailing someone. Yeah. And I think some people might think it's more impressive. Oh, if I get my publicist to contact CBC or whoever, right? So what sort of advice do you have for musicians that are kind of struggling with what to do next? Say they just recorded this awesome record and they love it. They're very happy with it. What's your advice in getting it out there?
Right. And I am so good at giving advice and I'm so not good at actually doing it myself.
Sure.
Because I know that this is what you need to do, but you need time. You actually need to put the time in. So turn off Netflix, get to it. That means that you come out, you don't necessarily have to make a record anymore unless you're making vinyl or a CD, but you have a single, you make it the best you possibly can, you put it out there, and then, like you said, you just start telling everyone about it. You just say, who are the people who can give me print media? Who are the people who are on the radio? Who's on CBC? Who are the hosts? Who do I like as a musician that's like me? What are they doing? Go to their site. Who represents them?
Yeah.
Who, like, there's a lot you can do.
Right.
But you just need to do it.
That's right. I find a lot of musicians don't do it.
Yeah.
They talk about doing it, but they don't do it, and that's for a multitude of different reasons, I suppose.
Right.
But it's important to do it, otherwise nothing happens.
Right.
No one's going to do it for you.
No.
Unless, of course, if you hire someone.
Right. And when I hired my publicist, they were all about, like, you know, when you're on Facebook or where you're on Instagram and you see somebody doing something that really, why are you doing that? But that being said, I'm looking at it. I see you, and if you don't do that, then no one sees you. Right. So the point of this is do it. Go and you have a song you just released. Get your acoustic guitar or your piano and play a little snip of it and tell us about it. Tell us where the show is. And then later on, make a drawing of it and say, look at what my kid did. They drew a picture of it's so cool. Like, just make a story out of something.
Right. Create your own content.
That's it.
It's all about content these
is.
days. I know. It's like we got to constantly make content. That's what we're doing right now, making content.
Yeah.
So we're coming up to the end of the show. And thank you so much for taking the time and talking with us. And I always ask guests this question is, what advice do you give to, say, I'm a musician and I want to enter the music business? The advice I would give you is don't get in the music business. There is no business anymore. But say someone is, they're really keen on getting into the business. They got some great songs. What do you suggest that they do?
Record the songs the best you can. Make it the best you can. Don't just sloppily play something and put it out there, because there's too much really good stuff out there. So make it the best. Work with the best. If you have no one to work with, make it the best. Make it your best. And then just put it out there and start. Get a website designed. It doesn't have to be expensive. Start your own little website. Put content. Get your YouTube channel. Start collecting things. And then as the years go by, you have this huge collection of work. And you can get rid of things if you want. You can add things if you want. But just do your best. Collect all that. Put it up so that we can see it, and like we said, promote. Gig. There's a lot of people who just sit in their studio and they actually don't go out there in front of real people.
Right.
That's important. You need to actually go out there. So many people at these open stages I'm at are so nervous, and nobody wants to see that. We want to see you confident.
Right. That's right. Yeah, because that always makes me feel sort of bad for the performer sometimes if I sense they're not really confident or they're not really into it, then it kind of affects my intake of the show, we'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, there you go. Be more confident. I know, it's easier said than done. That's right. Well, thanks so much, Russell, for coming on the show. And be sure to see the Russell Leon Band live. That is on March 2nd at the Dakota Tavern, and that's from 7 till 9.
That's right.
My favorite show times. Great. Well, thanks so much for being on the show.
Thank you, Mark.
And thank you for watching.